Give us your take then on this story from Bloomberg that they are now considering, officials here in Beijing, dropping this GDP target. They're biting the bullet, aren't they? This is inevitable, no?
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me. I think it's understandable because absolutely there's a lot of uncertainty even for economists to project what GDP growth is going to be. And there have been a lot of downward revisions at the beginning of the year. I think what policymakers can do is that now they are softening on the numerical target. They could emphasize on maybe maintaining employment stability is utmost important for local governments. But at the same time, I would also think that for local governments, they have been sticking to a numerical target for so many years. And dropping the numerical targets will not be easy for them for companies to make their own projections, for example. I think policymakers at the end of the day may still have a range that they have in mind, even though they are dropping the numerical target. For example, we've heard from the PBOC Governor Yi Gang that in the second half of the year, growth could be close to the potential if outbreak is under contained. So I think even though they do not put forward targets, they still have some kind of target in their mind, of course.
And how much more stimulus then, and how much more policy response and policy support should we expect if Yi Gang is to get that forecast correct for the second half of the year? And indeed, you expect still to see a V-shaped recovery here in China. What more do they need to do to get to that point?
Yeah, so there's still a lot of uncertainty even right now. Today, we're going to have the April trade data. I'm looking for a deeper contraction compared to the consensus. Because we have the horrible April export orders in the PMI survey, and also if you look at the Korean trade data. And I think there could be more bad news to come because, the April trade, I think to some extent that will still be supported by the work resumption as factories opened after the outbreak, and they have to got back to meet the order demand. In terms of what more stimulus the policymakers can put forward, so obviously everybody is now waiting for the 22nd of May, the MPC of what they will announce. First of all, I think the fiscal stimulus will be the most important policy too. We expect the fiscal deficit target to be increased to 3.5% of GDP this year. And also, of course, they already announced the quotas of special LGD issuance, like front-loading some of the quotas. And for the full-year quotas, we expect a 3.5 trillion special local government bond issuance for the full year. And the focus should, of course, be the special central government bonds, as they already will talk about it in the Politburo meeting. But right now, there has not been a lot of obvious indications of how they want to use the CGB, the central government bonds, the CGB's issuance.
Right.
And I think the most important emphasis would be of course, there have been a lot of talks about infrastructure stimulus. And I think the most important point
Michelle,
is to provide income assistance to the unemployed.